This podcast is for 5-2, Properties of Exponents, Day 3. The learning objective. Today you will learn the difference between a power function and an exponential. You will also refine your skills for solving for a variable with exponents. So for the warm-up, you should be able to get number 1 using properties of exponents, and then we're going to review number 2 and 3, which was what we did in the previous lesson. So simplify and solve for x if needed. For number 1, we're going to start with, we have a few different bases here, 20 and 25. Would be the number base, and so we're going to simplify that. 20 over 25, reduce the fraction. We can divide 20 and 25 by 5, and we'll get 4 over 5. And then you can use your properties of exponents to solve for the x base, or think of it this way. There's 7 x's on top and 9 on bottom. So when you cancel, how many x's are left and where? And there's 2 left on the bottom. So here's the answer I'd be looking for. All right, for the next one, 2 and for also 3, we want to rewrite 9 and 3 so they have a common base. And for 9 and 3, the common base is 3. And the reason is 3 squared is 9. And don't forget that we have this 5x here. And that equals 3 to the 20th. Okay, once the bases are the same, you can ignore the bases and set the exponents equal. So we have 10x equals 20, and divide each side by 10. X is 2. You can plug in your answer and you can solve. 5 times 2 is 10, 9 to the 10th power. Check that answer. Does it equal 3 to the 20th? And it should. All right, the next one we have 4 and 8. What's a common base for 4 and 8? And that would be 2. 2 squared is 4. And don't forget to multiply that squared by 6 minus x. And that equals 2 to the 3rd power is 8. And don't forget your 3x. All right, once we have the common base, ignore the bases, set the exponents equal. We have 12 minus 2x equals 9x. Solve for x, we'll add 2x to each side. We get 12 equals, oops, this should be a 2 here, 11x. Divide each side by 11. And I'll just leave it in fraction form. X is 12 over 11. So to review, exponential functions, the general form of an exponential function is y equals a times b to the x. You should know by now that a is the starting value, b is the base, and it's some number they give us, and x is the exponent. So to solve an exponential function, as of right now, there's 2 ways that we know how to solve: guess and check and finding a common base. So let's just do a few more finding a common base, and then we will get to something called a power function. So number 1, 9 and 27. What's a common base for 9 and 27? And if you think back to day 1, we wrote down a bunch of base 2, base 3, and base 5 exponents, and so you can look back at that page. We know that 9 is the same as 3 squared. Don't forget the x in the exponent, and that equals 27 is the same as 3 to the 3rd power. Once the bases are the same, you can cross them off. We have 2x equals 3, and divide each side by 2, so x is 1.5, or we can leave it as 3/2. And you can check your answer by typing into your calculator 9 to the power of 3/2, so you should get 27. All right, the next one is 27 and 81. Another way that you can write this is 27 to the x equals 81 to the negative 1 power, just so we flip it so we don't have a fraction. We can rewrite 27 as 3 to the 3rd power, and we can rewrite 81 as 3 to the 4th power. The bases are the same, so you ignore them, and we get 3x equals negative 4. Divide each side by 3, so x is negative 4/3. Okay, number 3 we're going to skip for now. This one we'll flip, we'll find a common base. This one's pretty messy, and I'm going to say we're going to hold off on this until we learn our 3rd method of solving for an exponential function and use that one to solve. So let's hold off on number 3. Let's go to number 4. Find a common base. Again, let's flip this one to the top. We have 16 equals 32 to the negative x minus 4. We'll flip that to the top. Okay. So 16, we can rewrite that as 2 to the 4th power, and 32 we can rewrite as 2 to the 5th power, and this times, and I'll just pull the negative in front of the negative 5, x minus 4. Ignore the 2 because the bases are the same, and we have 4 equals negative 5, x minus 4. We can distribute, which is the most common method, otherwise you could divide by negative 5, equals negative 5x plus 20, and solve. we get negative 16 equals negative 5x, divide by negative 5. And I'll leave it as a fraction, x equals 16 over 5. Okay, so there it is, 16 over 5 is your exponent. That would be the correct answer for this one. So there's the second method of solving for an exponential function. The first was guess and check, and the second is finding a common base. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about what a power function is. A power function is different than an exponential. The general form of a power function, x, the variable that you're solving for, is the base. So the base is the variable. That's the difference. And n is some number. Okay, so the base is the variable in a power function. And we actually know how to solve power functions. We've worked with power functions before. For example, number 1, x squared equals 16. How do you get rid of the squared? Well, you square root it. All right, so we get x equals 4 because 4 squared is 16. Also, x equals negative 4. All right, let's do the next one. N to the third power equals 125. So what you're thinking is what number times itself 3 times is 125. And many people know that that answer is 5. But if you didn't know, you can use your calculator, and we can use the cubed root here. So let me start a new document here. All right, so here's the square root key. It's blue, but next to that is the above the caret key is the button we're going to press. So here it is, the cubed root. So we're undoing a cubed root of 125, and the answer is 5. So we can use that cubed root key, where the 3 is on the outside, to solve. Okay, the next one is number 3. We do have to get rid of the 2 first. It's opposite order of operations. So divide each side by 2 first. We have m to the 4th power equals 625. And again, it's asking what number times itself 4 times is 625. Let's use that 4th root key. All right, so we're going to do the 4th root of 625. Whoa, whoops. Let's try that again. 4th root 625. And the answer is 5. And actually, for any even power, there's 2 answers. So the square root of 16 was 4 and negative 4. The 4th root will be 5 and negative 5, because negative 5 times itself 4 times will be positive, and you'll get 625. But if you get m equals 5 for your answer, I'll accept that. Okay, so 2 answers for any even root. Let's go over number 4. Again, if you get stuck, use opposite order of operations to solve. Okay, so again, if I write up PEMDAS, in this problem, we have multiplying by negative 2. We have exponents, and we have subtracting 6. So first step, get rid of the subtraction by adding 6 to each side. Negative 2x squared equals, what is this, negative 98. We'll divide each side by negative 2. X squared equals 49. Okay, so we've gotten rid of these. Get rid of the exponent square root each side. X equals 7 and negative 7. And the last one, number 5. 6x to the 2.5 power equals 90. First step, get rid of the 6. So you have x to the 2.5 power, I believe this is 15. Let me double check. 90 divided by 6, yep, 15. All right, to get rid of something to the 2.5 power, take it to the root, the root of 2.5. And you get some messy decimal, I'm sure. Let's try it. Oops. Oh, I have my calculator here. I'll try it. All right, so we do our control, and then this time we put a 2.5 here of 15. And it's about a 2 point, is that right? No, I did 25. I'm sorry, I'll do it again. All right, 2.5, 15, and it's about 2.95. Okay, so to review, we have 2 types of functions we're solving, and one of them is called exponential. And an example of an exponential is 2 to the x. And there's 2 ways to solve this, common base or guess and check. So this is when the variable is located in the exponent. And then we have our power functions, which we're more familiar with solving. And in the example is like this, y equals x squared. You can see that the variable is located in the base. So on your assignment, you're going to practice these 2 types of solving. So for an exponential function, you'll find a common base. And if it's a power function, you'll do the square root or cubed root or fourth root or whatever kind of root you have.